churches tend to be a haven for defrauders. He would pitch to the church congregations his chairman's fund that was actually endorsed by Jesus Christ himself. Over a 2-month period, he embezzles $47 million. Hello, Matt Cox.
Hello.
So good to see you.
What's going on?
Thanks for having me back. Got a dozen stories for you today.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about the crime. I'm going to tell you the whole crime story. Some of them involve me, crimes I investigated. Some of them do not. And your job is to guess the sentence.
Okay.
Within how many years? We need to set a guideline.
Yeah, because I'm never going to hit one on the head.
Are we keeping score?
I'm keeping score today.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
I'm keeping score. Let's say within
how about
3 years.
Within a 10% variant.
Okay.
How about that? So you can be 10% right on number of months or whatever, or number of years on the upside or the downside.
It's close. It's pretty close.
So you want
right.
15?
Like
you want 15%?
I think within 20%. Come on, 20%. That's
20%.
reasonable.
So if it's a 10-year sentence, he's got to be within 2 years.
Yes.
Fair enough.
We,
Okay.
I can live with that. I mean,
Okay.
it's your show.
And
So
so
it's
if I'm within
20%.
then that's a
And we
win.
have 12 stories.
Yes.
So what's a passing grade? Let's say
I think 80%. Huh?
Let's say 8 out of 10 is
I'm
passing.
down. I mean, you don't have to ask me. I mean,
There's money on the
I'm
line.
not paying him.
Yeah, this is just this is audience retention. People got to watch to the end.
All right,
see if
okay.
you can,
9. So
pass.
you have to have 9. I have to have 9. Let's say
9
because
out of
9
12.
would be roughly 80%.
You're shooting for 9 out of 12.
So we don't have an actual scoreboard up here against
Yeah.
the red wall. Our first story is one that I investigated.
Oh, okay.
A fellow named Kevin.
So this guy got away.
Nice. You familiar with annuity investments?
Yes.
What do you know about annuities?
Annuities are where it's like an insurance product, right? Like you invest in like an insurance.
Yeah, it's the only investment product that life insurance people are allowed to sell.
Okay.
Okay, and so life insurance people, I have term life insurance or whatever. If I croak, my heir gets X dollar amount. There's also whole life, which has like a built-in thing to it. But the real money in the life insurance sales business is selling these investment products called annuities. And what annuity is, you're going to pay a certain amount of money either per month or a lump sum. And then when you hit some certain age, you're going to get a check every month, like Social Security,
Right.
to supplement your income until you die. And then the investment goes away. It has no value at that point, which is why it's sold by life insurance companies, because they're all into the actuarial tables and how long you're likely to live and all that.
Right.
I don't like annuities as an investment. I think the problem is that when you're evaluating your investment choices, there's always a life insurance guy, since that's the only type of investment he can sell, that are really pushing annuities. And the commissions on annuity sales are insane, really high to the salesperson. So
There's huge incentive to lie.
when that's baked into it, like a financial planner may not ever steer you toward an annuity, but your life insurance guy who you know and trust is always going to try to put you in an annuity. Kevin was an annuity salesman.
Okay.
Right? The life insurance guy. Most of his clients were senior citizens, and they loved Kevin. He was their guy. One day, Kevin, and many of whom were in Hawaii. He lived in Hawaii at some point. He had a lot of clients in Hawaii, senior citizens. He begins contacting his clients one week and saying, "Hey, listen, I think I can get you a better rate on your annuity. Can I have your permission to pull it from the current annuity? We'll cash it out, and we'll put it into my personal program that I'm running."
That's not a problem, because the annuities, if you pull money out of annuities, you typically have like a what do they call a surrender fee or something? There's some massive surrender.
Right.
Like
The
20%.
cash value of these things is pretty poor.
Right.
It's a tough investment to get out of, which is
have
another
to-
reason why it's not a great investment.
Right. So if you you buy one for $100,000, one, Kevin probably makes 10 grand. And then 2, you have to keep it in there for 10 or 15 years for it to then start paying you back. So for you to go in and say, "Hey, I want to pull my 50,000 out of the 100," well, you just probably cost yourself 20 grand.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin reaches out to a bunch of his clients, telling him, who love him and trust him, and says, "Hey, listen, I can get you a better deal. Let's cash out your current annuity, put it with me. I'm going to manage the money and get the annuity squared away." And so 12 different customers give him cash out, and he walks away with $400,000.
Okay.
Significant numbers for you when you're going to be making your guess later. And what Kevin does is he puts that money in his own Charles Schwab account.
Okay. He's not even churning it.
No, I mean, he may have paid out a couple people here and there, but a lot of these annuities have a there's a tail. Like if you bought an annuity today, you can choose what day you start collecting it, right? Because it's all just a math problem in the world of finance. You could say, I don't want to collect this till I'm 60. So this is a while ago, since I investigated this. I don't think he paid anyone any returns, but he takes all their money. And then
bets it all on black.
It's like you read ahead. When I teach classes to young investigators on how to do white-collar crime cases, I discuss the importance of timelining the fraud, right? Because when you're doing a fraud investigation, you have witness statements, you have phone records, you have bank records, investment records, and all these things happening. And it's really important that you put it into a timeline to see exactly what's happening. And so what I was seeing when I timelined this was money would come into Kevin's Schwab account, and then I would begin seeing ATM withdrawals in Las Vegas. And then at this particular casino, casinos keep amazing records because all these degenerate gamblers they joined the loyalty club of this casino. I'm on the Caesars loyalty club or the Bellagio loyalty club so they can get like a free ham sandwich or whatever. And those guys, the casinos keep amazing records of every quarter you put in every slot machine. So I was able to see that Kevin was just gambling this money away.
When you said he put it in his Charles Schwab account, I thought you were going to say he bet. I thought when I was joking about betting, I thought you were going to say he bought a whole bunch of whatever Tesla stock or something but I was just kind of joking.
That would have been great because then he would have actually invested the money and had a shot at it. He was the Charles Schwab account was more of a symbolic gesture at some point. I mean, Charles Schwab wants you to walk away from your bank account and make your Schwab account your bank account. I mean, my son just ordered a Schwab account. They sent him checks so he could write against it and stuff like that. And so, and I think maybe it made. I don't know if some of the customers knew that it was going to a Schwab account and maybe it gave them a sense of comfort that it's going into something that looks and smells like an investment.
And I could understand that. That makes sense. Like, I don't want to see it go to your personal account.
Yeah. or
at least if he has to show something. No, what are you talking about? Here's my thing. Look, here's where your $67,000 went directly to my Charles Schwab. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I then bought this with it.
Right. But there's no significant investment, no investment activity whatsoever in this case. Right?
Okay.
So I put it all together, interview the victims.
Well, how did this come to your attention?
What happened is at some point, some of the investors want their money back or are expecting to receive money. And he is just offering them lots of excuses. He's ghosting a lot of them. He's not returning calls. So a few of them called the FBI. I was an agent in Honolulu at the time, investigating investment fraud. It landed on my desk. I said, "There's something here," and so I began subpoenaing the bank account records, interviewing the witnesses, and again timelining the fraud until I figured out what happened.
Was there anything left?
No, it was all gone. I mean, again, $400,000.
$400,000.
What do you like to play?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was like blackjack and slots and roulette. I mean,
He's just a degenerate gambler.
So do you check in with the casino and they're like, yeah, here's his card, here's his spending habits?
Them. You see where he's gambling, like usually from ATM withdrawals or banking activity or credit card charges. And then you know that he's at the Bellagio. Most guys stay at most of the degenerate gamblers, again, they like getting the free benefits of, comped room or whatever.
What's this guy thinking?
I know. So at the time, he was living in Carlsbad, California. And so I took a flight from Honolulu, Hawaii to Carlsbad, California. You ever been there?
No.
Lovely town.
I'm sure. I'll bet he loves seeing you come.
Completely lovely town, yeah. And the local agent from the Carlsbad office of the FBI, they had a little satellite office there with a handful of agents, picked me up at the airport. I'm already in my suit. Let's go. We head over to Kevin's house, knock on the door, a little apartment, and he invites us in. I sit down, talk to him, and an hour later, I had a signed confession from him.
Yeah, he's been waiting. When you open the door, he's probably like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you."
Yeah, I mean, it took some doing. It wasn't my hardest interrogation, but it wasn't like he just rolled over.
Okay.
And there was a lot of, Kevin, I know you never intended for this to happen. I know that this is something that got out of hand. I know if you had a time machine and could go back and do it all over again, you would do things differently, wouldn't you, Kevin? There's a lot
Yes, I would.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I'm like, a lot of patting him on the shoulder. It's okay, buddy. We all make mistakes. No one, Kevin, should be judged for the worst thing they ever did.
I've used that since you've said that. I've said that a couple of times in the comments, responding to people saying, "This guy's a scumbag," and I'm like, "Hey, nobody should be judged on the worst thing they've ever done."
Yeah, it resonates with a guy like Kevin. He was nice enough to sign the confession. We shook hands, pat him on the shoulder, said, "I don't know what's going to happen, buddy, but I'll be in touch." And he was indicted shortly thereafter and pled guilty to fraud charges, order restitution. Matt Cox?
So $400,000 in restitution.
12 people.
12 people. It's over 10. So a little enhancement. He pled guilty. He timely. Gosh, I don't
Senior
know.
citizen victims,
Yeah, no. So, yeah.
but not addled, not rattled. No dementia.
Not more than $1 million from one financial institution. It is sophisticated. He's got no criminal history. He couldn't have had a criminal history to have the licenses to do what he did.
One tip: several of his victims wrote letters to the judges, victim impact statements.
Oh, did they? I want to say 24 months. Is that right?
Is that your final answer?
I want him to have gotten 24 months. Yes. Yeah.
24 months is your guess?
24. Yeah. 24 months.
Correct answer.
Are you serious? Not exactly.
No. The correct answer is.
Oh, you're so mean. Okay.
He got 46 months.
46?
Yeah. I think my recollection, having been there at the sentencing, is that the judge was just aghast at the violation of trust. I mean, these were people who've known him for 20, 30 years doing business with him. And the idea that he just like raped and pillaged the people in his life who loved him and trusted him with their money, and also kind of stealing their future from these like 70-year-olds, right? This is how they're going to kind of live for the next 10 years.
Right.
I think really offended the judge.
Yeah.
And so he gave him 46 months.
And you went to the sentencing.
I go to all the sentencing.
Really?
I never missed a sentencing in 26 years of being an agent.
Do you sit there when they do it?
I'm at counsel
go,
table.
Really? And you ever go, oh, I was rooting for you, Val. I really thought you weren't going to get that much. No?
I keep a poker face. I also don't get hung up on what the sentencing is. It's not like I get to keep the license plate that guy makes in prison. Or anything like that. I'm not a headhunter, and but it is interesting. My role there at the sentencing is to make sure that the judge, probation, and the prosecutor are up on the minutia of the facts. And there have been lots of sentences where the judge had a question, and then the prosecutor turns to me and says, Agent Simon probably knows the answer, and then I stand up and give the answer. And it's surprising to me, and this is just my impression, that a lot of the judges walk into these sentencings completely undecided about what they're going to sentence this person.
I always feel like they're, I would feel like they've read
You hope that they read the pre-sentence report.
You hope they read the pre-sentence report. In my mind, I feel like they have an idea. They could get swayed a little bit one way or the other, but I feel like they would all have a pretty good idea. Like, he's going to be around 20 years, but maybe during the course of this whole thing, maybe it drops to 18 years, maybe it goes up to 22. Depends on the guy. Although I think that the judges are jaded when the guy gets up there and starts saying, "Look, I messed." You'd have to really be able to sway a judge for the inmate or for the defendant to say something to sway him. I think that's
the ones that I liked the most, because it was clearly falling on deaf ears, are the ones who during their elocution at the sentencing just go on and on about how they found Jesus and well, since I've been washed in the blood of Jesus, it doesn't really matter what happens to me.
You're going to be perfectly okay with this. Then.
Exactly. All right.
I was going to say, I think of when the victims get up and talk, like I've seen those.
I've seen sentences kind of get jacked up a few months to reward the victims for their time.
Well, I would think sometimes too, like I've seen the ones where you get somebody who stands up and says like, "Look, I forgive this guy for what he did. I don't think he meant," what I'm saying? And then it might go down. When I say I see them, I mean, these are like TikToks. I haven't been in the courtroom. Like this is like a TikTok where somebody got murdered and their family gets up and says, "I don't want him to die in prison."
That's always amazing to me. That's somebody who's like super centered, who can like forgive a murderer.
Yeah.
I find that the people who lost actual money aren't just forgiving as the people who lost a family member.
I wasn't really close to my brother. He was kind of a shit, actually, Your Honor.
But boy, oh boy, do I miss that $700,000.
Oh, this is going to be a bad comment section. Okay, go ahead. Okay. You guys are laughing. Sorry.
Let's go to the next story.
Let's do it.
All right.
Do you have your answers folded? So
I do. So last time, for those of you at home, Matt was taking the time to try to read the sentencing upside down on the paper so he could cheat on a game show on his own show. I took the time.
This has developed into a game show, by the way.
So I took the time eating a lobster roll in Zephyr Hills before I came here to fold down every piece of paper to hide so Matt can't look at my own paper.
I was really off on the last one too.
You're 0 for 1.
Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Once a cheater, always a cheater. All right, next one. Yeah, you can look all you want. Our bad guy, is named George.
George.
His first name is George.
His parents have a sense
His last
of humor.
name is George. Middle name Vincent. So it's George Vincent George. And I investigated a piece of this case. I'll tell you what piece. But the story actually begins after the crime ends in many ways. So he defrauded investors of approximately $3 million through a company called Well City, WELL City. It was a Brentwood, Tennessee-based wellness social network that he was claiming to launch.
Okay.
But there was no real business behind it. He created false income statements and was soliciting investments from people to get in because he said we're going public very, very soon. And solicited investments, ripped off $3 million from investors. The Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance, the state regulators, and the FBI team up to work that case in Tennessee. He's charged with fraud, and he's awaiting trial out with an ankle bracelet. And then the story, in my mind, really begins.
Okay.
He cuts off his ankle bracelet a couple weeks before trial and disappears, and becoming a fugitive, and a nationwide manhunt ensues.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Right. He did not want to face a jury with this. Okay, so keep that in the back of your head. So $3 million in fraud damages. I don't know how many victims it was. That part of the case wasn't mine. There was a Tennessee agent working that. He takes off to Jacksonville, Florida. Right? Great town.
Right.
You should come visit sometime. And he reinvents himself with some fake ID as Stephen Oliver. He's no longer George. And his legend that he's telling people that he meets is that he's a Harvard-educated psychiatrist.
Okay. He put out a shingle?
We're getting there.
My God.
We're getting there. So what George / Stephen Oliver does, his first stop, because again, he only has enough money in his wallet to get away because he can't really draw on the George money anyway.
Right.
So he's got limited funds. But he's a really, really smart and clever guy. His first stop is a mega church, an evangelical Christian mega church, which he knows is filled with desperate single women who are divorced or widowed or whatever. And he immediately meets a very good looking woman in her 40s, maybe 50-year-old, and explains his situation. He says, listen, my wife and kids were killed in a head-on auto accident back home. They're dead. And he leaves his wife and kids behind in Tennessee to become a fugitive. And they were killed. And I'm coming to Jacksonville to open up my psychiatry practice, and I need a new start. And gets lucky very early in the relationship, and basically moves in with this woman.
This is very much a Dirty John story.
Was Dirty John one of your guests?
No. The chick that killed the Dirty John got the story.
John.
Anyway, but there's a whole series based on different stories of these kind of con men that move in on these women. And so it's become kind of their Dirty Johns.
Right. So he latches onto her. And the next thing he does, which is actually kind of clever, is he finds kind of I don't want to stereotype here, but a kind of hippy-dippy massage and yoga and healing practice run by a husband and wife in my hometown of Ponte Vedra, Florida. And he goes in to get a massage from them, and he explains to them I have a fantastic idea. He goes, what if we created a holistic health company where you do your Reiki massage healing and you do your yoga and meditation training, and I'll actually do talk therapy with our patients, and and I'd be happy to fund this. Once I get my finances all worked out, and the kind of holistic health types, those two were super excited to have latched on to a Harvard-educated psychiatrist. And he's like, we don't even need to move. This is a beautiful area. There's lots of rich people in this town. Can we get the studio next door to be my office? And so we have kind of conjoined offices in the hallway. They arranged with the landlord to extend their, it was a vacant unit there. And so they're open for business. Okay. And he says that his license is being transferred from another state and all that. And they started, and so he begins seeing patients, right, in this holistic health way. So and a lot of the patients were people who were already getting massages and spiritual Reiki healing and whatnot, or meditation and yoga. And some of these people have personal and emotional problems. And now we have a psychiatrist here who's going to sit and listen to you. And I talked to several of his patients.
Okay.
He was a really good listener.
Really? I'll bet.
Yeah, he was a really good listener. But it's funny, the husband of the husband-wife, kind of the massage therapist, he said, looking back on it when I interviewed him, he goes, it was kind of funny because he was kind of overweight and not super healthy, and we're into like vegan, organic stuff, and he would sit there all day long just drinking Diet Dr. Peppers in the office. And we said, when the patients come in, maybe you want to hide the Diet Dr. Pepper because it's not really consistent with our ethos. And then I talked to some of the psychiatrist clients and like, yeah, he was a good listener, but he mostly just kind of talked about himself. Right. So all this would be very funny.
That would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want to hear what happened to me.
He's a bit of a one-upper. So Dr. Oliver, another thing about it gets a little tragic here. So Dr. Oliver's girlfriend that he's living with had her own psychological problems and had been prescribed by her psychiatrist many different kind of medications, anti-anxiety drugs and stuff like that. He tells her that he went to Harvard and get off the drugs, and like he collects up all of her pills and has them for himself. Megachurch pastors are an interesting group of people, and I've had the opportunity to investigate some and work for others, and they love getting free stuff from their congregation. Like, there's not a single megachurch pastor who has ever paid for a haircut, ever paid for an oil change, ever had his air conditioning not fixed for free.
Right.
They have these giant flocks, right, in these giant churches with bass players and light shows. They get their stuff for free. This megachurch pastor knew Dr. Oliver was a member of his congregation, and also knew that his mother was suffering from some psychological difficulties. And he asked him if he would be willing to counsel his mother and do psychiatric treatments on the phone with her. Dr. Oliver said yes. So he begins treating the pastor's mother, who lives in a different state, and then he begins sending her pills to take from his, to see if that makes her feel better.
Right.
And so it didn't work out poorly for the old lady in any way. I don't even know if she ever actually took the pills, but it was a factor to think about.
Right.
And the pastor was a bit embarrassed after the FBI came and hauled him away later. But we're getting ahead of ourselves in the story. A sadder version of this, though, was there was a woman who was in the who would get her massage there, and who learned that there's now a psychiatrist as part of the massage practice. And she said, my son is suffering from severe depression. And so he charges the lady and gives her a bunch of pills to give to her son for his depression. There's a teenage boy. And the last thing, we later learned that the pills were anti-anxiety medication. And the last thing you want to give someone who is suffering from clinical depression is anti-anxiety medication that brings them down even lower.
Okay.
You get that?
Like, yeah. Okay.
Right? So it's not an antidepressant, which would bring you up. It's anti-anxiety, which would bring you down. And the boy,
I think he would have learned that in Harvard.
The boy takes the pills and crashes and tries to end.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So super serious.
Yeah.
He's okay now. He survived this, but this was these were like. It's all hardy har har when you're listening to someone tell your problems. Once you start handing out your girlfriend's pills and a kid almost dies, it's more serious. I searched his apartment, and in his apartment, he had like framed pictures of his wife and kids back home that he had told his girlfriend were pictures of his dead family, and he just does this to remember him. But eventually he makes contact with his family back home, and the FBI in Tennessee is all over it. They figure out that he is in Jacksonville, Florida, and they arrest him and bring him in.
Okay.
And so
that's kind of anticlimactic, but okay. He made a phone call.
Well, yeah,
made a bad call.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, and so my role in this investigation, because I don't want to take credit for anyone else's work, was to figure out, to document and kind of get all the witnesses together for everything bad that he did while he was on the run.
Okay.
All the he was just a human wrecking ball, like ruining people's lives.
Yeah. Anybody that crossed his path was gonna have it. Is gonna have some kind of issue.
Yeah. Talented con man, you got to give it to him. I mean, go big or go home, right? Harvard psychiatrist, and but a lot of damage in his wake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have all the damage that he did as a fugitive. Mm-hmm. We have back the original fraud of $3 million kind of investment fraud, and he pleads guilty.
Right.
Sentencing comes around.
Yeah.
What are you going to sentence
12
this
years.
guy to? 12 years?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. How much?
20 years.
Get the 20 years.
20 years. He stole $3 million. Almost killed a kid.
But Almost. 20 years.
20 years. This guy's the worst.
Oh, I don't think 20 years is, I mean, he's a scumbag, but 20 years, nobody died. And it's $3 million.
He was handing out pills to people, pretending to be a Harvard.
He was trying to help them. You're acting like it was malice on his part.
20 years.
20 years. Wow. That's 0 for 2. Jeez.
I know. These are the white collar crime ones. This should be your expertise. Matt Cox, do you consider yourself to be an alpha male?
I like to think of myself as one. However, I don't think about it a whole lot.
Have you met people who do, though? Aren't they?
Absolutely.
Like, who are like, this guy's an alpha, this guy's a beta, this guy's a cock. And it's just sort of like, that's their whole like personality is, like this guy clearly has low T, and they're out there like sunning their scrotums, and it's like a part of their identity.
I interviewed one of the guys from Fresh and Fit. And Fresh and Fit?
I don't.
What was
Myron Gaines.
Michael, is it?
Myron Gaines.
Myron Gaines. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Myron Gaines. He was a Homeland Security agent, by the way, for like 7 years or something. It was a while. Like it was 6 or 7 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now he and his buddy run Fresh and Fit. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really nice. But they're big on the whole red pill thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what? Nothing?
No,
sorry.
I'm just agreeing, yeah.
I see a lot of... but yeah, their whole thing is, kind of, alpha males, alphas, betas. What are the other ones? Alpha, betas.
This is not my universe.
I've heard alpha, beta, sigma.
Sigma, I
don't even know what sigma is.
So sigma is what I think Jess says I'm a sigma. Because they don't have, although they're going to say this is wrong with it, because it's like they don't have to be the leader. Okay. They don't mind being a little bit watching and being, but they have the same qualities, but they don't have to be the guy out front calling the shots. Okay. Something along those lines. So anyway.
Let's see. The internet slang sigma often refers to someone who is perceived as self-assured, independent, and successful, but who also operates outside of traditional social hierarchies.
All right.
That's me. That's all me.
Okay, sounds good. Well, listen, I'm glad you found an identity, something to latch on to.
But I don't think about it a lot.
Yeah, right. But so there's a guy named Jeremiah Evans. He lived in Utah. He was a
Mormon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He tried to be a walk-on at BYU's football team. It didn't work out for him. But he's a big, strong guy. He was really, really focused on being an alpha male. In fact, he had a company called Alpha Influence, LLC, and they hosted a convention, AlphaCon, an expensive conference for people who wanted to see speakers talk about kind of alpha male stuff, right? And if you Google him and look at local media in Utah, they said that he was the next Tony Robbins.
Oh, nice.
But he didn't want you to call him by his name, Jeremiah. He wanted you to call him by his nickname.
Alpha?
No, the Bull. He was Jeremiah the Bull Evans.
Okay.
The ultimate alpha male. And he also sold investment contracts. And so he would set up drop shipping Amazon stores for you. You had to do nothing except give him $40,000 to run these drop shipping, selling alpha male products. And as you give $40,000 to Alpha Influence, he takes care of the rest. Your only job, Matt Cox, would be to cash the checks when they come rolling in.
I'll bet they did.
Right. And he began providing his investors reports on how much their stores are making. And the reports looked like everybody was getting rich. And
are they getting checks? Or is this a Ponzi where they're getting checks from the next guy that pays $40,000?
Yeah.
Is anybody getting paid?
No.
Or no? Okay.
No. 530 separate investors.
Wow.
Bros, $21 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he spends it all.
Really?
He buys a white Lamborghini Huracan Evo. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
Other stuff. Amazon was having none of this drop shipping bullshit, right? Like, he tries to set up a couple stores right now online. They get shut down immediately. When investors complained, they were just ghosted by the bull. He was not returning calls. Enter the FBI and the Utah Division of Securities, who recognized this for what it was, an investment fraud, sparked by bad lies and information, kind of fueled also by false reports. And they grab the bull. by the horns.
Okay.
And
We don't know if he cooperated. We just
I
know
don't think he had anyone to cooperate against.
He was just-
he pled guilty.
pled guilty. Okay.
Pled guilty, and again, this is a big local celebrity there, and he with a huge social media following. Again, one of these guys that has like tons and tons of followers on Instagram and all that. And he watched his Instagram feed. There's a lot of him like hitting the heavy bag and stuff like that, and a lot of like he's a big strong guy.
Okay.
And a lot of hair care products going in to to oil him up for his like Instagram photo shoots. I mean, this is an alpha male,
Right.
This is the bull.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the bull pled guilty, and then we have 530 investors.
That's a lot.
$21 million in losses.
We don't know if he's got a criminal history. Probably not. Probably not.
No, this is the bull's first rodeo,
so
to speak.
Now I'm thinking between. Oh, I can't say between. I don't know. It's the amount of victims, sophisticated means, victims. 17 years?
17 years is your guess?
Yes.
You think the bull got 17 years?
Yeah, stop. Why do you drag it out? 17.
8 years.
8?
96 months.
I'll do 8 years for 20 mil.
Well, again, my assumption is that there's probably some forfeitures and seizures in there too. I didn't work this case.
I thought there was 21 million in loss.
Oh yeah, I mean, 21 million is the federal sentencing guidelines.
That's what he got hit with 21. Okay.
Right. You don't get the seizures and forfeitures that the FBI might do of bank accounts and your Lamborghini. That goes toward restitution. That doesn't lower your sentencing guidelines numbers.
That.
I mean, as a matter of law, that's true.
Well, yeah. I was going to say it goes towards your
Restitution numbers. It has nothing to do with the federal sentencing guidelines.
Still, 8 years. That's it.
8 years for a young man who's the next Tony Robbins is not going to do wonders for his career.
This is horrible. And you guys painted me as if I was cheating last time, and I wasn't. And now that I'm blowing this one, this is horrible.
And that was that recent?
Yeah, he was just sentenced like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
In fact, I've had this story in my back pocket to bring to this show for months now because the story fascinates me, and I find these alpha male types just so reprehensible that. But I was waiting for the sentencing so I could bring it. So
did you already do it on your platform?
Oh yeah, and it's huge. Telling the story very stoically as I do, without a whole lot of like judgment or anything like that. My followers go nuts on this guy. They hate this guy more than they've hated the child that they really can't stand this guy, and I didn't do anything other than tell the story about what he did. But this whole like alpha male, the bull kind of thing,
Do you do the bull on your thing?
Yeah, the bull. That's his whole thing, and this for some reason set a lot of people off among my Instagram followers. And I still look down, and I did the story like a couple months ago. I still look down, and every day there's a couple comments that are getting added to it. So
the second guy got 20 years for $3 million, and this guy got 8 years for.
The second guy took off. He was, they don't like it when you take off. Changing jurisdiction.
And when you almost kill a teenage kid. I mean, I think that was a huge factor for that judge. It shocked the conscience.
Yeah. I think that maybe the almost killing the kid. He didn't die. Sure, he's fine. I feel like that shouldn't have been that much. Maybe a couple of years extra.
You're a monster. I knew his mother. His poor mother.
I thought the sentencing guidelines were supposed to kind of
make things more uniform.
Yeah,
the judges have a lot of leeway now. The Supreme Court did away with the sentencing guidelines for as a mandatory thing. Now they're just advisories. The judges have a little bit of leeway now to make decisions, whereas before they were really kind of trapped within the guidelines ranges.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Okay,
I was in the guideline when it was mandatory. This is what you're getting. Yeah.
I get it. That's how I spent most of my career. I was watching. I can reliably say this guy's 18 to 24 months. This particular judge is going to give him 18 months. I was way better at the Matt Cox show game than you are. Let's talk about Dr. Cash.
Dr. Cash.
Dr. Cash. Would you invest money with a guy named Dr. Cash? It seems like he would know what he's talking about, right?
You would feel like it, but I feel like his last name isn't. Is his last name really Cash?
No.
Okay. It could be.
Not okay. There's a Dr. Cash of Orlando, Florida, right up the street. He held himself out to the public as being the nation's #1 business, money, and wealth coach. And he promised to share with his clients the secrets of the ultra wealthy.
Okay.
Right. And the people that he was going
He
to
would know.
He would. Now, he used the name, you hone right in on an interesting fact point here, that he used the name Dr. Cash because if anyone Googled his real name, Terrence Chalk, they would have revealed that he was convicted of federal fraud offenses back in 2006. So best to stick to the Dr. Cash pseudonym.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Right. And so his market that he was out there marketing to were black churches. Right, they would bring up Dr. Cash, and he would pitch to the black church congregations his chairman's fund, right? And this is a high yield, low risk investment program that was actually endorsed by Jesus Christ himself. Of all the endorsements you can have, this is one is going to appeal to this audience at the black churches more than others.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can see that.
And so a lot of the black church...
I'm interested.
Yeah. You're not really the target market, but I'm sure he'd take your money. A lot of the black church members, many of whom were senior citizens, invested with Dr. Cash. Okay. He encouraged them to share their blessings with friends and family and refer his friends and family, even if they weren't in church, to him so they could enjoy this blessing as well. And several did.
He's doing God's work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. $4.8 million he took in.
From black churches?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. A lot of these ladies, they've stocked away a lot of money over the years. Maybe there's a life insurance policy or whatever. I mean, not every.
Is this a white guy?
No, he's an African American.
Oh, cool. I mean, I feel a little bit better about it. I feel a little bit better
Fair
about
enough.
it.
Yeah.
Not,
Now,
it's all we need is another.
Now, I can tell you're skeptical about this investment program, but a lot of these, most of them, almost all, began getting quarterly dividends.
I'm gonna go out of my way here and think that it's a Ponzi scheme, and that's just to further the scheme.
All right. Spoiler alert. As it turned out, when the forensic accountants finally put on their green eye shades and started looking at it, the investment returns that the congregation members were getting were not being derived from any income-producing activity, but were being kind of recycled from the investments of other investors in what we call
a Ponzi scheme. So what did he tell them he was investing in? Did it vary?
I think it was very non-specific about that.
Well, you think I'd want to know.
My impression is that it was a diversified investment portfolio. I mean, this is the chairman's fund after all, and I think he would go wherever the Lord led him as far as his investments. Okay, so the bulk of the money, though, you'll be shocked to learn, was actually spent by Dr. Cash.
What did he spend it on? Do we know?
Yeah, he paid off. He had extensive personal credit card debt before this, and so he paid off a lot of that. He had courtside NBA tickets. That's basketball, Matt.
Okay, go ahead.
A brand new BMW. So to do the math, he spent $3.2 million of the 4.8 he took in. The other $1.6 million was recycled back into investment
Dividends.
returns for on the Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
So when the quarterly payments stop, because eventually he runs out of money, like all Ponzi schemes do, because eventually there's just so many people in the investment pool, he begins giving his investors just a mountain of lame excuses. And eventually some of the investors call in the FBI and the Securities and Exchange Commission, who do a kind of parallel joint investigation. And then they arrested Dr. Cash. He pleads guilty.
Okay.
Okay.
How many victims?
I don't have that number. I'm going to guess a lot, like hundreds, maybe thousands. I mean, I'm just basing that based on the 4.8 million. It had to be an astronomical number of victims. And he toured the South, kind of Black Baptist churches and evangelical churches quite a bit. What I don't know, and I wanted to know this, is if when you get booked by the pastor to speak, is there a love offering that gets made to the church in exchange for getting, you would call it a kickback. I call it a love offering.
Love offering.
Because I have more respect for the black churches than you do. Yeah.
Like, can I you go to the pastor and say, look, I'll give you $100 or I'll donate.
I'll donate 10% of everything that comes in.
Right. Let me pitch the church.
Yeah, so he's getting on stage. Like
Instead of the sermon today, we're bringing in Dr. Cash.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, that's just fucking horrible.
It is.
That's horrible.
It is. These are nice church leaders. They have big hats.
Listen, we went to Jess and I went to church one time, and they got up, and basically the whole sermon was about how they had started the church and they were doing this, and they were thanking the pastor. He'd been here for 10 years and it was an anniversary. And I was like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, they got to keep the lights on.
Come on.
I mean, these churches are not like the Catholic church that I grew up in, right?
Yeah.
They have like bass players and stuff.
they do that bands. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Light shows.
Yeah, light shows. Yeah.
It's fog machines.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, there's one. TikTok has found this is an interest of mine. One of them that I went to has like cables attached to like the pastor, and he like flies around the audience like an angel.
Have you seen Righteous Gemstones?
I have.
My wife is watching that.
Yeah.
I catch every few episodes.
All right. So Ponzi scheme math for computing the federal sentencing guidelines is actually, they do get a discount for the amount of money they Ponzi back.
Yeah, of course.
So
which is actually funny because it's still non-secured. Like, it's not like you know what I'm saying? It's not like it was security. At one point you had the option. But I guess because you had the option and you didn't take it and you gave it back. Yeah.
I mean, it's before discovery of the fraud too, right? So it's sort of early restitution. So his sentencing guidelines number was not the $4.8 million he took from this, but it was the 3.2.
Okay.
Lots of victims.
Elderly victims, vulnerable victims.
I don't know. Vulnerable victims, a weird enhancement on the sentencing guidelines because the government needs to prove that they were mentally addled through, through dementia, Alzheimer's, something like that. And so,
well, they didn't in my case.
Really?
Homeless people were considered vulnerable victims.
I would agree.
What are you talking about? I didn't take from them. I gave them $20.
You stole their identities.
Stop. They weren't using them.
I'm not being judgy, pal. I'm just telling you what the law is.
I'm glad, like my prosecutor.
I'm glad you're out.
Let's see. I still think 5 years. No, wait. He's got a previous 10.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, 10.
I was surprised at this sentence myself. He only got 3 years.
What the fuck? What is going on?
I know. Matt Cox?
Yeah.
When you were a kid, were you a comic book kid?
You know what I was thinking?
Tell me.
Do you remember when you were a little kid and you used to blow bubbles?
Yeah.
Yeah. He still talks about it. Sorry.
I like that. Go ahead. I like that. Were you a comic book kid? Did you read comic books?
I was.
Were you a Marvel kid or a DC kid?
Marvel.
What were your favorite superhero titles that you used to read?
I would say it would be, although I think I shouldn't say this because I think this is DC, is I was thinking Judge Dredd, but I think that's DC.
I think Judge Dredd is DC.
Yeah, but I liked Wolverine, Iron Man.
Okay.
Like those are probably the two. And I like Batman. I mean, I wasn't like huge into like Superman and all those.
Yeah, Batman's DC also, but yeah, point taken. Yeah, I was into Daredevil, the blind guy. That was my favorite title. In the 80s.
They've never been able to turn that really into a good. They've tried several times.
Netflix show's okay.
The show I don't know.
Yeah,
I meant the movies. Like they've never quite.
There's the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
I thought it was okay.
It was fine. There's actually the original one that came out, and they had a director's cut that's actually better. But there was a comic book company, an imprint based in St. Louis, Missouri, called Lion Forge. I never heard of them. Had you?
No.
Yeah, but not as big as Marvel and DC, but they had a loyal following and some popular titles. And there was a woman who worked for the comic book publisher. Her name was Sarah Tweedy. She was the head accountant for the company. And but it didn't take long after she was employed that she began stealing from the publisher in a number of different ways.
All right, let's hear what kind of ways.
See, Sarah, it's important to understand, Sarah Tweedy had a long-distance boyfriend in Scotland. and she used the company credit card for Lion Forge to make $138,000 in personal purchases, in a lot of which though were first class flights to Scotland to visit her boyfriend. But she was spending money like using and she actually purchased a very sexy kilt to wear on the flight so when her boyfriend picked her up at the airport, he would see the sexy lady in a sexy kilt.
And this is like a CPA or like an accountant?
She's an accountant, an internal accountant. I don't know if she passed the CPA exam or not
at
this comic book company, but she's got the company credit card. She's got access to it, and she's just banging it out. $138,000.
She's probably making the payment, so she's able to.
Oh yeah, she's making the payment from
their account.
Yeah,
so
right.
She's able to really keep this going for a while.
Yeah. She had a corporate account, and the corporation also had an account with Amazon. And so she bought $6,400 in Amazon gift cards for herself that she then kind of, and then she increased, she also did payroll. And so she unilaterally, without permission, increased her salary from $80,000 a year to $110,000 a year. Gave herself a raise without the bosses knowing.
Okay. What were we up to?
All in,
250?
165.
165?
$165,000 is what she steals. But she gets to $165,000 and she starts getting that sick feeling in her belly.
Maybe this is wrong.
Not so much the moral thing, but oh my God, I might get caught.
Right.
It's just a matter of time. It's not like this is Marvel or DC or some giant company. This is an upstart comic book company. So she tells her boss that, listen, my boyfriend back in Scotland, he was in a terrible car accident. I need to go be with him. I'll be back. She goes to the airport, flies to Scotland. She didn't tell her boss that she had secretly received a visa to live in Scotland and that she had no intention on coming back. So she leaves, doesn't come back, not answering her phone, not answering the texts, not answering the emails. And then they begin taking a look at the work she'd done, and they realize that this small comic book publisher is out about $165,000 due to her activities. So they contact the FBI. She's criminally charged with fraud here in the U.S. And they reach out to Scotland because they know she's there. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I ain't coming back. And she fights her extradition from Scotland. Fights it. I think the court appearances probably lasted upwards of a year with her fighting her extradition. She finally loses that fight because Scotland and the U.S. have mutual legal assistance treaties. They're not interested in harboring fugitives from the U.S. They send her back. She pleads guilty. How much time do you give her?
I feel like they would have been pissed at her for fighting the extradition, for the whole thing, but it's still such a small dollar amount. I still think it's like between 2 and 3 years, maybe 3 years.
3 years, 36 months is your guess? The right answer is 45 months.
Fuck. Oh, that's close. That's close.
20%.
Is that within 20%?
Come on.
36.
I think it's 33% off.
0.2 is 7 months.
It's 33% off.
36 plus 7.2 is 43 months. And how many months did she get?
She got 45 months.
I missed it?
You missed it by a hair, by a nose.
Okay. It's upsetting. They must have been. They really don't like it if you fight extradition. It was a stupid thing to fight extradition to. Anyway, she's gonna come back. I mean, you're a U.S. citizen. You stole from U.S. people. And I'm sure there's an
best to take the path of least resistance, especially if your intention is just to plead guilty. If you lose and come back, why not?
She probably could have got a couple of years.
Put that behind her, but then she wouldn't be getting that Scotland love that she likes so much. I wonder if he stood by her.
I don't know. Somebody in the comments should find out and check into it. Go on social media, see if they're still together.
If we only knew a private investigator.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You ever get one of those? Wait.
Let's see.
Let me use the bathroom.
Yes. Okay.
Because I've been drinking these. I drank a cup.
Hey, go. We're good. We're in story 6. Matt Cox.
Yes.
You ever get one of those wrong number text messages from an impossibly sexy Asian woman?
I don't get that far, but I'm assuming it's a guy in Nigeria, but I'm sure they're very friendly. And then
I get them a lot. I get them on WhatsApp a lot, and where
I get my number. I get the text message.
I get that too.
George.
I get that too.
Are you going to be there tomorrow?
Quite often they put their picture of this impossibly sexy Asian woman on Front Street because
I usually, if I respond, this isn't George, then I get the picture.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
right.
Jennifer. I'm new to the area. I want to be friends. I don't think so.
These scams are called pig butchering scams. You ever heard that phrase?
I have heard the phrase, but it sounds horrible.
It does. It's a terrible phrase, and it actually comes from China. The idea that they're that they're going to be literally just using we are the pigs in this story, and and what happens though if you continue the dialogue with one of these impossibly sexy Asian women, it immediately turns to the fact that she's making a small fortune in a cryptocurrency investment program.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to just kick in a couple bucks, she could show you to the website, and you can invest your own. Take a couple bucks out of your paycheck, put it into Coinbase, send it to her, the crypto wallet of this platform. You can see it, the trades online in real time. Anyway, that's the scam, and then eventually it's the money is not in fact being invested in cryptocurrency, and the screens you're looking at to watch your money grow is not real. When you try to get your money out, you have to pay more advanced fees to get your money out, and I'm glad you're sitting down because you're never going to see your money. So
That's shocking.
That's the backdrop to a pig butchering scheme, and actually, in defense of my Nigerian friends, this does not come out of Nigeria. It comes out of Burma, China, Myanmar, they call it now, and a lot of like Asian countries. And so there's a guy, Shan Haynes. He was the CEO of Heartland Tri-State Bank in Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay.
He gets a text message from an impossibly beautiful Asian woman, and he begins a dialogue. And then he begins investing some of the money in this cryptocurrency program. And then he watches the money grow, and he wants to get some of the money out, but there's some fees associated with that. So he begins embezzling money from 3 different sources. 4 different, really, but 3 to start with. He was involved in the Elkhart Church of Christ, as I think he was like a board member treasurer. In some way, he had access to the checkbook.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does he have access to
on the board.
Okay.
$40,000 from them. Not astronomical, but a lot of money for a small Church of Christ in a small Kansas town. He and his buddies were in an investment club together.
Okay.
Where they kind of pool their money and invest in stocks and make a decision. I was in an investment club years ago. It was real good. Learn the stock market that way. He was the treasurer guy, right? Because he's a bank president. Takes $10,000 from his investment club. These are his friends, neighbors. He then takes $60,000 from his daughter's college savings to put in this crypto thing. But it gets worse, Matt Cox.
Oh, okay.
Over a 2-month period, he embezzles $47 million from the bank that he's the CEO. He's literally just sending wire transfer after wire transfer from the bank to into this cryptocurrency platform to try to invest the money and get his money back.
This is nobody. I mean, this is
This
pure,
is the
I was gonna say,
CEO of a bank,
This is pure stupidity.
right? So,
You think him? Shouldn't he understand that this is clearly a fraud?
of all people, he should, right?
Wow.
Okay. The bank collapses. The bank cannot give people their money back, right? The bank, you walk into that bank to try to withdraw your money. This bank was completely insolvent due to his embezzlement.
Is this FDIC insured?
Yes, it was. So
okay.
the FDIC takes the bank into receivership, and now the FDIC functionally owns this bank, and they give all the depositors their money back from the FDIC insurance up to $250,000 per account, which I
Right.
think covered pretty much everybody. But the bank also had stockholders and investors who now no longer own the bank because the FDIC owns the bank. And so the shareholders suffer losses of $8.3 million, right? But the FDIC, after kind of making basically $47 million stolen from the bank is now owned by the FDIC, and they've since sold it off. So just a lot of little damages here and there as you kind of spread it among the people, plus the money from the Church of Christ, plus the money from the investment club. I mean, his daughter's college savings. I don't know that that's actionable, but it's floating out there in the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
He FBI gets called in, investigates the case. Massive local bank failure, and he pleads guilty.
So what is the total loss that he got hit with?
It's a good question.
Or?
For sentencing guidelines purposes, I think the $47 million gets you there.
Okay.
Because again, that's the amount of money he stole from the bank, stole from the depositors of the bank, functionally, and again, the government stepped in and made most of the depositors whole. But now this is a bank that no longer exists anymore.
Right.
Right. We're in a relatively small community in Kansas. Shan pleads guilty.
Wire fraud, is what I think he probably pled guilty to.
Probably.
And the statutory maximum is 20 years. So I'd say he got the max.
I think there were probably. I think there was probably other things that he might have pled guilty to as well.
Oh, I mean, okay. So you're thinking, what is it? 30? Is it?
I don't want to gild the lily.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean,
bank fraud.
20 is a perfectly reasonable guess. I
think
didn't
20's.
I'm assuming that he was charged with other stuff, perhaps
Because he got more than the statutory maximum.
I'm not saying that. That's for you to guess. We'll say. I'll tell you what that is soon.
Well, I'm going to stick with 20 because
20? Okay.
I can't. So I'm going to stick with 20, but it sounds to me like because the maximum charge for bank fraud would be 30 years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think there's probably an argument to be made that this was bank fraud. I mean, not just like objectively, regardless of the game we're playing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I don't know what he did to get those wires. Like if he simply
Oh,
said,
no, he's clearly-
wire the money, wire $1 million here.
He's embezzling money from a federally insured financial institution.
So you're saying bank fraud?
I think it's bank fraud.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
so 30 million if it's bank fraud. I'd say 20 if it's wire fraud. Let's say I'm going to say
I'm telling you, it's bank fraud.
okay. Well, then it's 30.
You think he got 30 years?
Yeah.
You sticking with that answer?
Now I think no, but yes, I'm going to say 30.
All right. He got 24 years, 5 months, 293 months.
If I'd stuck with,
I just wanted you to have all the facts.
if I had stuck with, if you'd let me stop talking and let me go at
That
20.
makes for a good podcast, Matt Cox.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that one. 1 for 6.
Okay, come on.
All right.
I probably was close at both. I probably was pretty close within 20% of probably both. Maybe.
24 years.
Would have been
20%
24 would have been a
is
little bit more than
for
20% on 20, which I was wrong.
yeah, it would be
30 would have been less than 20.
20% would bring it to 28, 29.
I'll give it to you, buddy.
Oh, I missed both of them by a little bit. I would have missed
no.
both.
24 years, and you guessed 20.
Yeah.
20% of 20 is
4 years, but it was
4 years.
Here's the thing:
But it was more than 24.
it was 24 years, 5 months.
Oh,
See?
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Over 6.
And then think about it. If it's 30, if it's 20% lesser than 30, would have been, 6 years off. Ooh, I was right.
Wait.
20% of 30
Okay, yeah, you're there.
would have been 24 years, and we had
Yeah, no, okay, I'll give it to
Is
you.
that right? 30 times 0.2.
Yeah, well, I mean, 20% of 30 is 6 years. So you got
okay.
yeah, that 5 months
You're doing
enhanced.
better math than
That 5 months saved your hide.
there we go.
oh my gosh, this is horrible.
So what do you think happened to the people in China? They got 47 million?
Again, I don't know. I don't know that they're in China, but yes, in cryptocurrency.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think they do anything to anybody in China if they're stealing from Americans.
Now there's a whole there's pig butchering slave farms in the country of Burma, which is now called Myanmar, where they literally they've kidnapped people from China and other countries. They put them in giant warehouses. They're literal slaves, and they have every one of them has 5 or 6 cell phones, and they're just spending their time texting people in the U.S. And they have different people. This is the person who kind of gets the initial text going. Then they hand the phone off to the next person who's going to be. And they said that they can make an American fall in love with them in 5 days, and then they can begin soaking them for all their money. And it comes out in cryptocurrency. And the Wall Street Journal has done articles about these slave farms. The Atlantic has done articles. It is a serious human rights abuse, and it's a serious economic problem. The FBI identifies billions of dollars in losses to these pig butchering scams just in the U.S. every year.
Wow.
Every single one of them originates from a wrong number. So we can't hang this one on Nigeria. We can't even really hang it on China. These are Burmese slaveholders. And
I'm not even sure where Burma is.
it's a next door neighbor to Thailand.
Oh, okay. I kind of know where Thailand is.
Yeah,
No,
Southeast
no.
Asia.
Yeah.
And Burma, it used to be called Burma. Now it might be mispronounced.
Myanmar?
Myanmar. Yeah. And that's where most of these pig butchering scams are coming from.
The name is horrible. Like they have to work on that name.
Pig butchering?
It's horrible.
Or Myanmar.
It sounds horrific.
It is. It sounds way worse than it is. Yeah.
And what's funny is, well, in this case,
They're carving the
47
fat
million.
off the American pigs, is how they describe it.
Yeah, the 47 million is outrageous, but I mean, I'll bet you if they could just get a couple grand from an American, that's a lot of money.
I have so many clients who get ripped off in these things. And like it's astronomical. I got a client right now, his wife died, inherited 150 grand, went out the door in one of these pig butchering scams. Like,
I just don't. Well, here. So I'm not going to. You know who the guy is, by the way. So I know a trucker who right now has gone on a website for gosh, come on, what is it? It's who's Russia at war with right now?
Ukraine. Yeah.
Jeez,
that's a huge fraud factor. Ukraine.
So it's a Ukrainian website to meet Ukrainian women. He's met a Ukrainian woman, but you can only communicate with her through the website, and you have to pay. You have to pay tokens.
I have a client down in Vero Beach that happened to him. He lost a fortune on it.
Well, this guy's only lost he's only spent like $600, but. And I was like, listen, this is a scam.
Yeah.
This is no, you don't understand.
The women are so hot, and they're telling you that they're on the front lines of the war, and they want you to wire them money so they could buy bulletproof vests and stuff.
Wow.
And when the war's over, they're going to come be your girl and move here and like kind of service you all the time. And the women are just impossibly beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm like, and it's, yeah. So we had this discussion, but I've had this discussion before when he a year or two ago when it was Facebook. This girl on Facebook, I'm like, stop it. It's a guy. It's not her. No, I saw a video. It does. Stop.
On the Asian pig butchering side, the women all claim to be in the fashion industry. It's kind of weird. Like they design I design wedding dresses for a living, but I'm really making my money in cryptocurrency. LinkedIn had like a wave of them out, kind of trying to friend people, and they all claim to be directors of marketing for Estee Lauder.
Wow.
So they just latch on to different things that dudes might find like plausible and appealing.
See, to me, that does it. It's more appealing if it's some waitress who's working in a small bar, like, you know what I'm saying, like that, like it's like they're.
A lot of guys want their intellectual equals, right? They think like
I don't.
Fair enough.
So,
you ever go on Amazon or eBay and take a look at just basic consumer items that you could get at Winn-Dixie or Publix and scratch your head about why it could be so much cheaper on Amazon or eBay?
No.
Really? See, I have a side story. I'm like addicted to bubbly water, like
seltzer water?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
carbonated water, club soda, and all that. And I was spending a fortune on like Perrier and San Pellegrino water, and then I got myself a kegerator at home. All right.
What's going on?
No, stay with me.
Okay.
Stay with me. A kegerator.
Do they still make?
Kegerators?
Seltzer water or whatever they like that.
Yeah, bubbly water.
Okay.
Like club soda, seltzer water,
soda.
same thing. Yeah. And so
My wife drinks it a bunch. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm making my own at home now, though. I got a 5-gallon keg and a tap. It looks like a beer tap. I pull it and I get like ice cold, perfect bubbly water.
Okay.
It's fantastic. And you know what I like to put in that bubbly water? Lemonade Mio. You know what Mio is?
No.
Put a couple drops in your in your club soda, and it has different flavors. You can buy fruit punch. You can buy blueberry. I like the lemonade kind. I drink that stuff like crazy, and I'm very well hydrated as a result. It's expensive though. A little thing of Mio costs $4 or $5, but I can hop on Amazon or eBay and get it way cheaper in packs of 12.
Okay.
How does that occur? How are these Amazon and eBay sellers able to sell stuff at like below wholesale prices? That's what
Stolen. It fell off a truck.
Darrell Waters, 41-year-old from Pittsburgh. He had a successful business selling consumer items on eBay and Amazon at discount prices. I'm talking shampoo, makeup, vitamins, over-the-counter medication, toothpaste, razor blades, you name it. Darrell was selling it, and he was able to beat the prices of like your local grocery store. We're not talking nickels and dimes here, Matt Cox.
Mm-hmm.
This guy brought in $4.3 million
Sheesh.
in eBay and Amazon sales, selling normal, perfectly legal consumer products. The question is, how is he getting the stuff so cheaply?
This sounds like some kind of a not shoplifting ring, but something where like they go into Walmart and they change the They change how much it's $20 and they're buying it for $2 and they're something like that. Somehow he's getting stolen goods or something and reselling them.
You're on the right track. He had the items were all shoplifted by organized gangs of kind of high volume shoplifters in the greater Pittsburgh area. They would basically invade retail stores and steal everything that wasn't nailed down. Darrell's not stealing anything.
Yeah,
Darrell's kicking it in his warehouse.
Yeah, he's just buying stolen goods.
Right. The boosters would fence their stolen goods to Darrell. Well, how much do you think he was paying as a percentage of the retail price of these things?
20%? 10%?
10%. Yeah. 10%. So he's paying 10% of retail value, which obviously lowers his cost of goods sold and allows him to sell it at a discount so he can move these items on Amazon and eBay.
And he's selling them for what, a 50% discount? 40%?
Whatever he can get.
Oh, okay.
Whatever he can get. But
and you're buying them.
Well, yeah. And now I'm wondering if my lemonade Mio is coming from bad guys like that, or if Mio was just having a fire sale.
How do you sleep at night?
I know.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners will get 10% off for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox at the checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox for 10% off site-wide.
What's the problem with using addicts to supply your inventory?
They eventually get caught and they cooperate.
Bingo, Matt Cox. You've seen this show before. It's exactly what happened. FBI and the IRS opened an investigation on Darrell Waters. And eventually they charge him with money laundering and conspiracy charges for selling all this stuff. The dollar amount in the FBI and IRS's mind is $4.3 million, right? That's how much he's taking in from the stuff he stole. I don't know that they took the time to reverse engineer what the retail value of every item was, but they certainly have access to his bank accounts. Now, Darrell figures, you know what? You will never, ever be able to prove at trial that I knew these items were stolen.
Oh, man, he went to trial.
Takes it to trial.
That's a mistake.
Takes it to trial. And the government just brought in a parade of filthy shoplifting addicts to testify against him. And the jury deliberated for 5 whole hours and came back guilty on all counts. Okay. So it's time to sentence Darrell Waters.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, people may say this is no big deal in the comments. I can almost see the people saying in the comments, well, who cares if you steal from Walmart? But here's what. Every time I have to go to Walgreens and buy a razor blade or buy something, and I have to go get someone to take me behind the plastic to get it, that's because of the Darrell Waters of this world. So screw this guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking he went to trial.
Yeah.
He went to trial, which was a mistake.
Yeah.
So he loses a lot for going to trial. Plus it's 4 point whatever. Plus I'm going to assume he didn't come up with this and he's got a record. So I'm going to say 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah.
That's your final answer?
Yes.
Darrell Waters gets sentenced to 5 years in prison.
What is going on? This is ridiculous. 5 years?
Yeah.
This makes no sense at all. I think you picked these cases.
No, I mean, these
because they're so...
I start with the crime, and I'm often quite surprised myself on what the sentence is.
He goes to trial. I know guys that stole $3.5 million and got 4 years, and they pled guilty, and they had no criminal history. They didn't go. I mean, you go to trial. I usually triple whatever you're going to get, because I was thinking 4, maybe 5 years.
I get it.
So I figured, okay, let's triple it. So let's go to close to, it wasn't 15, but 12, like 4, 12.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
I get it. I agree. There's no justice in this world.
This is making me look bad.
The
Maybe the lost episode is never going to see the light of day.
The difference in the reactions from last episode, Matt looking to the camera and being like,
Oh, yeah. I was all. Take that.
I came here to take
Tom
Matt Cox down a peg. Yeah.
all right, 1 for 7. Let's just shoot for 50%.
All right. Yeah. You need to run the table here.
Yeah, you gotta go 6 for 12.
All right. Matt, let's talk about vacation sex.
Okay.
Not you and I, but just the concept.
Right.
A lot of people like to go on vacation with the sole purpose of kind of getting laid on that vacation.
Did you hear about how did the 90-year-old man figure out that his wife had died?
I don't know.
The sex was the same, but the dishes piled up.
Nice. Really trying to up that women viewership. Get your demographics more balanced. All right. So we got an American guy named Chad. He goes down to the Dominican Republic and on vacation. He's looking to have some action.
It's horrible.
He hops on
Passport, bro.
He hops on the gay dating app Grindr.
Okay.
You familiar with Grindr, right, Pat?
I've heard stories.
Okay, yeah. And he meets a nice guy named, good-looking guy, using the name Sebastian. And they're going to get together on a date.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Sebastian says, and this part was true, that he's a Venezuelan national living in the Dominican Republic. Okay. It was Sebastian goes to pick up Chad at his resort, and Chad was so pleased to see that Sebastian looked just like the guy from the dating app. Because quite often on these dating apps, I'm told, people have put up fake pictures or pictures that are kind of putting their best foot forward. Mm-hmm. But Sebastian was everything he promised to be. So Sebastian picks him up, and while they're driving down the road, out of nowhere, Sebastian pulls over his car, and one of Sebastian's friends hops in the back seat, takes a serrated knife, and puts it to Chad's throat.
Mm.
They steal Chad's wallet and cell phone, and they make him call his friends back in the USA, friends and family member, and say that he has been kidnapped, and he'll only be let free if they wire transfer money to a Dominican currency exchange.
Okay.
Which his friends and family members do. I don't know the exact dollar amount. They drive to the currency exchange, they take the money out, and they dump Chad out on a random Dominican Republic street with no money and no phone. But he survives. He lives to tell the tale.
Okay.
He goes to the U.S. Embassy and who says, we have 2 other tourists recently who had the same experience. They set him up with maybe his passport was back. They send him back home. Chad gets to go back. FBI opens a case on it because it's illegal to kidnap Americans overseas. It's a crime in the U.S.
Okay.
Right? So
they actually investigate it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they begin putting pressure. Again, they have 3 victims who have the same story to tell. And they begin putting pressure on Dominican authorities to kind of help out. And the Dominican Republic, to their credit, they do a joint investigation with the FBI.
Last thing they want is for the United States to start advising Americans not to go to the Dominican.
Exactly. That's a big deal. And meanwhile, they have some good data in the U.S. to work on, because I believe Grindr's a U.S. company, so they subpoena Grindr, and it was the guy's photo, and so they're able to kind of figure it out. And they identify the bad guy playing the role of Sebastian as Davy Delgado, a Venezuelan national living in the Dominican Republic. And that's good news for the FBI because because the Dominican Republic is thrilled to deport a Venezuelan living in their country, whereas they may be a little more hesitant to deport a Dominican, one of their own countrymen, to the U.S. to face justice.
Right.
They never, even to this day, identify who Davy's friend was in the back seat with the serrated knife, but they do a search warrant of Davy Delgado's home and find the serrated knife.
Okay.
And actually, I take it back. They found it in his car. They searched his car, and it was the car that the guy was picked up in and all that. So he's extradited to Washington, D.C. to face kidnapping charges. Davy takes it to trial, a 2-week trial, and the jury found Davy guilty of taking Americans as hostages abroad.
Okay.
Okay. So in a twist to the current immigration problem, we've actually imported a Venezuelan to the U.S. as opposed to sending them away. How much time, and understanding that as soon as Davey gets done with his prison sentence, assuming he doesn't get probation, he's going back to Venezuela or wherever. How much time does Davey get for kidnapping three American tourists and holding them for ransom?
I feel like that's 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah. I feel like it's 20 years.
You feel that? Is that your answer, though?
Yeah, because I don't have a lot of experience with kidnapping cases. But it doesn't matter. I have experience with all these other ones, and I can't get those either. So, but I want to say 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah. And he went to trial.
You went to trial, lost.
It's probably closer to 30, but let's say 20.
Wait, are you talking yourself out of 20? And you're going
I'm saying 20. I'm going to go with 20.
You're going with 20? That's your final answer?
I'd like a range.
You know, if you say 30, you do have a higher. Your 20% is more years.
We're getting tactical now.
I feel
or
like
you could
20.
Bid, you could bid $1 like on The Price is Right.
Yeah. Let's go 25. I'm going to go 25.
25 is your answer?
Yes.
Matt Cox, the answer, 25 years.
Nice.
Nailed it, see? I guided you right into it.
Colby guided me. 25 years. What an idiot.
Colby, what's the scoreboard?
It is 2 of 8.
It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We might need maybe next time we give you a little bonus for hitting it right in the head, right? We'll have a whole rule book next time.
All right. We're going to Greensboro, North Carolina for this story, Matt Cox.
All right. I've been to Greensboro, North Carolina, by the way.
What do you think?
It was a small town. It was a very small town.
Yeah. There's a 33-year-old guy who lives in that town named Cree Simon.
I bet he stuck out.
No relation.
No.
Cree, Khriy.
Okay.
Okay. Cree Simon. One evening, Cree is driving around in his car, and he sees two women sitting in their car in a parking lot. It's a nice evening. He parks behind them and blocking their vehicle in, and he approaches the women wearing a tactical vest and carrying a gun. He identifies himself as a DEA special agent, which he is not.
Right.
Okay.
You say, why would you? Okay.
He says that these two women resemble two people suspected of drug crimes and murder. He makes them get out of the car, and he says he needs to search their car for evidence, which he does, finding nothing. He continues to detain the ladies, repeatedly saying that he is DEA. Eventually, a friend of Cree's drives up and is like, "Yo, bro, what you doing?" And Cree gets nervous, hops in his car and drives away, letting the women go.
Okay.
The women call the police about this bizarre experience, and the cops immediately say, "That sounds like Cree Simon." Who had a long history of robbings and stabbings and gang activity in Greensboro.
Okay.
And, I'm assuming they do a photo lineup or whatever. They call in the FBI because he's impersonating a federal agent, which is a crime.
Right.
And Cree goes to trial on the charges of impersonating a federal agent and come back with a guilty verdict. How much are you going to sentence Cree?
15 years.
15 years in prison.
What is it? What? Yes. I think he went to trial. I think he has priors, right? He's got a criminal history.
Right.
I don't know how much criminal history.
Let me play devil's advocate. Isn't there kind of a no harm, no foul argument to be made here?
But he didn't. But he did. He said he was an FBI agent.
DEA.
I'm sorry. Said he was DEA agent. He is a criminal holding in possession of a firearm. He's clearly already a felon. I think 15, and I know you're. It's probably less than that. No harm, no foul. It's less.
I'm just being devil's advocate.
I don't
here.
think
I have no dog in this fight. I hope you win. I want your viewers to like you more.
I think it's 15 years. I'd be up. Listen, it's like burglary.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody breaks in the house and they steal a TV, you could say, okay, so what? It was $300. You broke in a house.
Right, but that's...
You said you were A law enforcement officer.
Right.
Way over the line.
Right. There's a gun.
There's a gun way over the line. You move those people out, which in a sense is kidnapping.
Yeah.
When you take a victim and you move them from one place under your direction to another, I think it could be higher than 15 years.
You're talking me into it.
Anyway, so 15 years. It's probably 25, but 15.
What's 20% of 15 years?
20% of 15 years is 3 extra years. So it'd be either 18 or 12.
Yeah, because it certainly doesn't cover the 33 months he got.
Are you fucking serious?
33 months.
That's ridiculous.
I agree.
That you get more for that for lying to an FBI agent.
Yeah. Well, which you should never do.
No, what? Who? No, I can't. I'm trying to send this somewhere and it's not doing it. Okay, sorry.
You need a minute?
No, I'm trying to hit the "Can I call you later" button so it'll stop ringing, because it's not that it's ringing here, but it's connected to my computer and you can hear it going. Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah.
Cut that out. Come on.
Okay, I was thinking about leaving it.
He likes it when I look like if I look like an idiot. Colby's like, we live in that in.
Matt Cox, let's get controversial.
Okay.
Let's get political, right? This is going to light him on fire in the comments. 27-year-old Kyle Calvert of Irondale, Alabama. He thought of himself as a culture warrior, but his particular side of the culture warrior was the left.
Okay.
But in all fairness, there are plenty of weirdos and bad people on the far right and the far left who do stupid, dangerous things. So one night, Kyle drives to Montgomery, Alabama, and begins plastering stickers on downtown buildings in the middle of the night. Let me read you what some of the stickers say.
Okay.
Support your local Antifa. Anti-fascism is community self-defense. Topple all hierarchies. Defend nature. Feminist action. Eat the rich. And friends don't let friends become cops. Sticking these stickers all over windows and doors and stuff like that in the middle of the night in downtown Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
And it's 3:35 in the morning. After a long night of plastering stickers, he plants an improvised explosive device
That went sideways.
against a building. Okay. The building was the offices of a Alabama Attorney General, Steve Marshall. Kyle lights the fuse and scampers away. The device explodes and creates some property damage, but no one was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some burns on the wall or the door or whatever it was, and no one was hurt. Thank heavens. FBI investigators come in to kind of piece together. I don't think what Kyle thought this through, because as he's kind of wandering around downtown Montgomery in the middle of the night putting stickers, like every business has a camera, so he's all over it. His face is covered, but then they begin taking a look at cell phone tracking information and find Kyle, like, you know, there's only one guy walking around downtown Montgomery at like 2, 3 in the morning, and it came back to Kyle. He was charged with malicious use of an explosive device. He pled guilty. At his sentencing, he told the judge that he is not, in fact, affiliated with Antifa. But the judge didn't really care about his politics because, you know what? It's his conduct that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So what did the judge give Kyle?
I think 10 years.
Yeah?
Yeah, 10 years.
10?
10.
10? No more, no less?
I mean, arson's usually 10 or 15 years, and I would feel like this is in the arson.
Malicious use of an explosive device.
Oh, for God's
was his
sake.
charge.
15?
I'm not trying to talk you out of 10, buddy. I just want to make sure you're comfortable with that. It sounds like you don't believe in yourself.
I don't have, the only experience I have with arsonists, they tend to get about 50, with arsonists is they get 15. Those aren't explosive device, but I feel like this falls in that category.
I want to make it abundantly clear. I am not trying to talk you off of your first guess of 10 years.
15.
You sure you don't want to stick with the 10?
We've got mowers. No, we got edgers. These are edgers. I know the difference.
Should we finish this segment?
Yes.
Correct answer? 9 years.
You did that on purpose.
I just want to know what your final answer is, pal.
You did that on purpose. Okay. So I feel like that was
I give it to you.
Oh, thank you.
We're giving this to him? Let's go to University of Alabama, Matt.
Let's do it.
Student there, Aiden Yeager. He's in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble for a college kid. Sitting in his dorm room there at University of Alabama, Aiden goes on TikTok and meets a 15-year-old girl named Sandy. And he tells her that he wants to sponsor and support her social media career by sending her money to make her so she can make videos and be a real live influencer.
Sounds nice.
I got to tell you, though, these teenage girls, they all want to be influencers. Mm-hmm. It's like an epidemic here. And so she's super excited. The 15-year-old girl, Sandy, readily agrees. Aiden then discloses that he will pay her money, but only if she sends him naked pictures.
Right? I feel like that's not appropriate. Inappropriate.
Agreed. You can't do that. Sandy's hesitant at first, but then Aiden makes it seem glamorous and said no one's going to find out. And so she begins sending him intimate pictures of herself via the app Snapchat. And he sends her money via PayPal, basically buying these pictures from her. This continues for a few more cycles of photos and payments until Sandy got that sick feeling in her stomach that this isn't right. She shouldn't be doing this. And she tells Aiden that she wants to stop doing it. And Aiden says, if you stop doing it, I'm going to send these pictures that I took of you, everybody you know on your contact list, all your friends on social media, all your followers. Sandy is afraid of embarrassment, and she continues to send him a total of 100 pictures.
Okay.
In explicit poses. Aiden sends her $700 for these pictures via PayPal.
Aiden is in a significant amount of trouble.
It gets worse.
Okay.
So Aiden hops on Reddit pretending to be Sandy, claiming that she is an 18-year-old girl, and here's some naked pictures of me, Sandy. But if you want to send me money, I'll give you the pack of 100 pictures of me, uncensored. Yeah.
Manny,
I know.
Guy.
Aiden's a bad dude. Again, he's claiming that she's 18 to not violate Reddit's terms of service and all that. But he's selling this complete portfolio of Sandy's naked pictures to Reddit users, and he begins making a small fortune. Mm-hmm. And now eventually somebody with like knowledge of Sandy's absolute nightmare calls in a tip to the FBI.
Okay.
And thank heavens for the FBI. They launch an investigation. The agents conduct a search warrant of Aiden's home, his dorm room at the university, and they gather all the digital evidence they need to show that he had not only done this to Sandy, but to 6 other girls as young as 13, and who all had the same experience. And so he gets brought up on charges of sexual exploitation of children, pleads guilty. What does he get sentenced to?
I think he gets 15 years, and he has to register for the rest of his life, right?
Your guess is 15 years?
I think 15 years.
Yeah. He gets 25 years.
Oh my gosh.
College kid, 25 years.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
I know. Like, his fingerprints are all over this. I mean, it's his PayPal, right? I mean, he wasn't even pretending to be someone else.
Well, yeah. Okay. You know, it's not funny, but there was a German guy I don't mean German like he was in the U.S. I mean, straight from Germany.
Got it.
Doesn't like barely. Well, he did speak English. It was better than my German, but with a German accent. So he was in Germany where it's not a crime. It's talking to what he thought was a boy, like a 13 or 14-year-old male, or young boy, for several months. It turned out he ends up flying from Germany to meet this 13 or 14-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. He thought he'd fallen in love with a young, adventurous boy, right, which turned out to be a pissed off 45-year-old FBI agent. Yeah. And he gets off the plane in Germany. And
wait, in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Right, okay.
I'm sorry, not in Germany. I'm sorry. He gets off the plane in the U.S.
Right.
I don't know where he landed. Ultimately landed in Coleman. Mm-hmm. And the whole time he was fighting his case, trying to get moved back to Germany, because in Germany the age of consent was 13.
Yeah.
And in most of the European countries it's very young. Mm-hmm. And so he the whole time he was there, he's pleading to the consulate, he's pleading, and the Germans, nobody's trying to help him. Nobody. Yeah. And he really just wanted to say, look, move me back. Let me do my time knowing if he goes back, they're going to cut him loose. And he could, I mean, he got like 25 years.
Right. So every time I do a story about child on my Instagram feed, the comments are swarmed with people who say with absolute certainty that this guy is going to be just killed in prison, unalived in prison or whatever. And that as soon as you go to prison, everyone hates people who abuse children and they rip them to shreds. He's not going to make it out of the shower his first day.
Right.
Is that true?
No, that's not true at all. He'll be sent to. So if you physically got a hold of a child, so there's two different things. One, let's say you physically got a hold of a child and you were charged in the state. Those tend to be state charges.
Right.
And so those guys have a really hard time, but they also typically put them into areas or prisons that cater to them. And so although they may be brutalized in prison, they don't typically get, very seldomly, more so than in federal prison. You may end up getting unalived, but very seldomly in a state prison facility. And it almost never happens in a federal facility because the lows are flooded with them. They can't go to a camp. So they go to the lows, and there's more and more of the mediums are getting filled up with these guys. And
do the other prisoners know what they're in for?
Yeah.
How does that information get to the prisoners?
I mean, guys will look them up. They'll just say, "Hey, there's a new guy here." They'll go on the phone, or they'll go to their kind of core links, which is their email system, and they'll tell a friend or their family members.
Hey, Google this dude for me.
Google this guy, and a lot of times it's not hard. Like they very quickly figure out that he's there for child, what do they call it? For CP or for this or that, whatever the charges are. And a lot of times these guys have there was a small article written, or they were roped in with 10 other guys who were on a website, or 50 web guys. There was a big one where droves of guys showed up within a 6-month period of time, probably 50 guys, where they were all members of subscribers of a website where they were paying several $100s a month to be a member of this website, where there was a father who had been molesting his daughter since she was like 7 or 8 years old. It'd been going on for
filming
like
it and like
filming it,
selling the footage for basically.
And the daughter's now like 12 or 13. This has been going on for 5 years, and these guys they're talking about $200, and there was like 200 some odd guys that were paying this and
those inmates do not face harm in prison.
Typically, they are. So, do they face harm? Yes. There is a better chance of them getting smashed than a normal guy. If they keep their head down, they're overly respectful. They don't go in the TV rooms. They don't they're not subject. They're not allowed to go in certain places and go where other inmates are allowed. They're not, like if you say, "Hey, I want to go, I'd like to play on the softball team," they'll be like, "No, you're not playing on the softball team. You're not doing this. You're not doing that." Some of them, they
have trouble finding people to socialize with while they're
inside. No, but they click up together. And what's so amazing about it is we're talking about within days. These guys will get there and lie to everybody and say, "Oh, I'm here for a fraud."
An embezzlement,
embezzlement, fraud, tax evasion, whatever. And or I don't want to talk about my case. And we're talking about within days. You'll see them walking around with 6 other guys. They're all there for CP. Wow. And you're like, how did you find? It's like they can
sense it. They can smell it on each other.
Exactly. They just kind of congregate, and they. But I think I've told you this. I mentioned this the other day on the podcast, where the guys. So a white guy would show up, right? A lot of these guys are white guys. They show up, and they'll walk in, and they'll say, "Hey," other white guys go, "Oh, what are you here for?" And they're like, usually they say, "Oh, my lawyer told me not to talk about my case." Right then they think, chomo. So, or they'll walk in and they'll say fraud, which always bothers me. Like, why can't you pick arson, bank robbery? They'll say fraud. So this
it gives defrauders a bad name.
It does. And this happened over and over again. And where these guys, the white guys would come up to me, they go, "Cox, see that guy over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, he got here yesterday." "Okay, go talk to him." "Why?" "He says he's here for fraud." "I don't like the look of him." And I'd be like, "Fuck." And so then I have to go over to the guy and I'm like, hey man, what's up? I hear you're here for fraud. And they'd be like, yeah. And I go, well, what kind of fraud? Credit card fraud. And I go, oh, okay, well, they charged you with credit card fraud? Yeah. I go, is that the name of the charge?
Not a crime.
Yeah, it's not a crime. And they go, yeah, I was charged with credit card fraud. And I go, okay. Well, what'd you do? Oh, I defrauded, credit card companies. Yeah. Well, yeah, but how did you do it? Like, did you work at the bank? Did you have access to the credit card numbers? Like, I don't understand. And they're like, this one guy, I always tell this one story because it was so funny because the white guy named Kenny King was standing right here. There were probably a couple guys behind him, but Kenny's standing there. And I go, so what did you do exactly? And he goes, and I'll never forget what he said. It's not a learning experience. And I went, oh, okay. And I go, he's a show. And I turned around and walked off, and Kenny goes, bingo, like that. And he followed me. Kenny's like, how do you know? How'd you know so fast? I said, I've never met a fraudster that didn't want to brag to you
about how brilliant he is,
what he'd done, and how smart he was, and how he figured it out. And I said, it's not a learning experience. Who the fuck talks like that? I said, that guy, if he was really here, I said, on top of that, Kenny, I said, it would be access device fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud. I said, there's no such crime as credit card fraud. I asked him 3 times. He should have at least said, oh, well, no, I actually was charged with.
You think he would have thought it through before he came up with you plan, like when you go undercover, you spend a lot of time practicing your legend as far as who you are and where you come from.
Well, listen, most of them just walk in. They ask their lawyer, what do I say when I go in there? Just tell them your lawyer said not to talk about your crime.
That's going to go so
It's
well.
like, that's not going to go well. Yeah. Or I'd walk up. I had one time I walked up and I walked right up to the guy and he just looked at me and I said, hey, so what are you here for? He goes, wire fraud. And I went, oh, I said, you mind me asking, what'd you do? He goes, I ran the largest Ponzi scheme in South Carolina history. And I went, yeah, he's a con man. He's good. I mean, just sort of like,
that seems credible.
He said it with like pride.
Yeah, exactly.
$102 million, $57 million in loss. And I was like, nice.
Fist bump.
You want to sit in the TV room?
you want to do aerobics with me? So anyway, so Aiden Yeager, the Alabama kid we just talked about who did this, I mean, this is a form of sextortion. And sextortion, but it's unique because they are able to get their hands on an actual guy. But sextortion is right now a massive crime problem in the U.S. And a lot of it is coming out of Nigeria and that part of Africa, where these young guys, these 15, 16-year-old kids, meet a girl on Instagram. Next thing you know, she's asking to see his junk. He sends a picture of his junk on Instagram, and then they turn around and say, we got you. We're going to send the pictures of your junk to all. We have taken screenshots of all of your the people you follow, all the people who follow you. We're going to be sending it out to all of them unless you send me money.
I've been sending them out. I send them out all the time. They're going to recognize me.
We can laugh about it, but it's terrifying for these teenage boys and teenage girls who do that. And several, dozens a year will unalive themselves.
Oh, okay.
And, and stuff like that. So it's
made me feel like a dick.
No. It's a terrible situation. But I hear from these kids, right? Because I do these stories, and so I want to, as a public service here on your show, if that ever happens to you, right? You can't turn back the hands of time. The only thing to do to survive this thing is to block the person and do not respond to them at all. The last thing in the world that somebody who's being sextorted should ever do is pay them money, because once you pay an extortionist, they're never going to go away.
Yeah. Now they're all over.
Never going to go away. They will bleed you dry. And obviously, don't harm yourself. If you block them and don't respond to them and do nothing thereafter, the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor that they will not, in fact, release your photos.
Right.
And if they do, you can just say it was photoshopped, it's AI, whatever. But it's so. And so I spend a lot of time with no money on the end for me advising young people on what to do under these circumstances, because they contact me because they're scared and they have no one else to go to.
So what's really to me funny about that is that to a young kid, that is the end of the world.
Absolutely.
And to me or you, we'd be like, well, go fuck yourself. Send them to him. I may screenshot a couple of, I can give a fuck.
How was the lighting on that one? I can't remember.
Did you get my face? But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it's that whole thing, as a young kid.
Their lives are going to be ruined. Like, I'm going to be so embarrassed. I'm not going to get into Yale.
Yeah. Well, and you're so worried about your being embarrassed or what people think about you. And, you know, you get to our age and you're like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about. Like, it's like, and you realize that even if people think messed up things, like people are still friendly to you and funny and nice. And it just, you know what I'm saying? It means so little, but to a kid, it's
the end of the world. Yeah. And I talk to these kids and they're like in tears, they're freaking out, and some of them are thinking about self-harm. So yeah, it's sad, but you know, and I advise them all the same. And I often hear from them back saying, you're right, nothing happened. And thank God. You know, most of the things in life that we worry about will never happen.
Well, yeah, you suffer more in your mind than you do in reality. You know, the problem is they're not narcissistic enough. See, if you were more narcissistic, they would never, like, the idea of me being embarrassed to the point where I'm going to harm myself. No way.
Yeah. I mean, you've been through the ringer. Yeah.
I love me. Nothing's pushing me to that point.
Exactly. So did he get this last one? Did he get it right?
What was
I was off. You said 25.
Oh, yeah, it's 25. You said 15, right?
Yeah, I said 15.
Yeah,
25.
I've already put 3 of 11.
Okay.
See, to me, in that particular one, to me, I didn't realize that these guys were, you know, deleting themselves, right? So I didn't realize that would, because to me, that's not even something I could consider. The idea that someone got to that point is foreign to me. And, you know, so to me, it's like, this is a stupid crime. It's cruel. It's mean. But the fact that that's what it's leading to, yeah, okay, well, that's different. Then, yeah, I get 20, 25 years. And this jackass, you know, these guys go to trial and they're just fucking stupid.
Okay. All right, for this last story, let's go to Florida City, Florida. Never heard of Florida City, have you?
No.
I'm surprised there is such a place, but evidently there's a place called Florida City, Florida. We got a mail carrier, U.S. Postal Service lady. We're going to call her Bernice.
Okay.
One day, Bernice is walking up to a house, 2-story house, toward the front door, delivering a package. A guy opens the window on the second floor, and he hangs out the window and says, "Stop, stop, stop." She stops in her tracks. The guy is 43-year-old Charlie Holly. The package is coming to him. Charlie yells to Bernice that he wants her to open the package in the front yard while he watches from the second floor.
All right.
Bernice says, "I can't do that. That's against postal rules." Charlie becomes enraged. He says, "Do you think I'm playing with you?" He pulls out a .45 caliber pistol, points it at Bernice, and says, and Bernice is like, "F this." She throws the package down, turns and starts running, and he starts firing at her.
Holy Jesus. He's nuts.
Not much of a marksman.
Okay.
Misses her. Bernice understands the importance of cardio.
Right.
Makes it back to her truck, takes off, escapes unharmed. The bullets do strike her truck, the postal truck. She calls the police, who have a 2-hour standoff with Charlie, and finally they get the weapon. The ballistics match the bullets that had gone into the mail truck. It was him. Police hand the investigation over to the FBI and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service.
Yeah.
Charlie goes to trial, and the jury convicts him of assaulting a federal employee and a firearms charge.
Do we know what the issue was with why he wanted her to open?
This is what's so fascinating. They never had probable cause to open the package. So to this day, no one knows what was inside the package.
Sitting on an evidence locker somewhere, or evidence just...
I don't know. There's no probable cause to open the package. And I mean, who knows what it was? I mean, is
he got mental problems? Is that what?
Well, okay. So this wasn't Charlie's first offense. He shot and killed his own cousin back in 2014 and pistol whipped another cousin in the same altercation. But those local Florida charges were reduced to a small firearms offense at the time.
Florida.
But I'm going to go out on a limb to answer your question and say that maybe Charlie has some issues.
So we went to trial. He
lost, shot at the mail lady, hit the truck.
I would say.
So, okay, so here's what we got. Yeah, so we got Charlie. He's lost his trial, has some prior issues involving guns, shot at a nice mail lady who hopefully has continued her cardio training.
I'm more concerned about what's in this package.
I know. So
I would x-ray it. Can't we x-ray it?
If someone knows what's inside the package, it never made the official record of the case. This was not my case.
Okay. Make a call. You can't just call like a buddy and be like, "Hey, can you get me?"
What was in the package? What's in the box?
Yeah.
What's in the box?
20 years.
Is that your answer? 20 years?
20 years.
You think Charlie's worth 20 years in prison?
I think it was attempted murder. I think he tried to, he shot at her.
Yeah.
I think if he had hit her, he could have killed her. He's not opposed to killing people. He killed his cousin, right? Or did he shoot his cousin?
He shot and killed his own cousin back in 2014.
Yeah, Andy's a felon, and Andy went to, yeah, I think 20 years. On the low end, 20 years.
On the low end, 20
Yeah.
years. So it could be more than 20.
Yeah, it could be 25 or 30, but yeah, let's say 20.
We're going with 20?
Yeah.
Matt, congratulations. The correct answer, 16 years. You just made it within the 20%.
I'm going to go with, come on. 16 years.
16 years for shooting at his mail carrier, something that we as a civilized nation frown upon.
Did you post this on your Instagram,
did.
story?
I did.
Did the comments speculate what's in the package?
Everyone wants to know. I want to know. Matt wants to know.
Well, I would think I mean, who else can we ask? I mean, you're the perfect person to find out. You've got an in. You're a private investigator. You're a retired FBI agent. Like you could easily make a call.
I could.
I'm gonna make a TikTok about that and build it up, and then it's gonna be like it's gonna be a cliffhanger, like what was in the package, and see how that does.
What do you think was in the package?
Something
Is it
stupid?
That's what I'm getting at. There's no satisfying answer to this, right?
Something stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
Charlie's a jackass.
I suspect that Charlie, it was probably just a random package from, it wasn't Amazon because she's not an Amazon delivery lady, but from somewhere, and he got it in his head. It was the voices in his feelings were trying to kill him. He thought it was a bomb or something like that. I mean, he was probably having a paranoid episode. I'm also going to be stereotypical and say that maybe he was involved with drugs or something like that.
Yeah, he could have been up for 4 days.
That were impacting his mind. And so I think that the answer to the question would be wildly disappointing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's best for it to live in our minds as a mystery than for me to actually provide you with the wildly disappointing answer.
You know, it's so funny. I'll watch a movie with Jess that I've seen, and she's horrible. She's the whole time. Does he kill her? Does he? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, you do know. I'm like, well, watch the movie. And I'm not going to tell you. I won't tell. I never tell her.
Yeah.
Do they find her? Do they find her? I'm like, I don't know. I hope they do. And she's like, you know if they find her. I'm like, well, you'll know too in 5 minutes. So we'll never know.
Yeah. Colby, what's our final score? How do you do?
4 of 12.
4 of 12.
4 of 12. Yeah.
Man.
We'll have to tweak the.
This is horrible.
Rules
Makes
of the
me
guidelines.
I feel like this is rigged. I didn't really see how much. We didn't really know if those are even the right answers. I say 15, he goes 25. If I said 25, he might have been like 10.
Yeah.
Look. No, I'm gonna let it. I'm in my mind. You cheated. We're gonna let that live in my mind.
There's no upside for me to make you look bad on your own show. These are your fans watching this, not my fans. So I want you to look good. I want you to seem like a genius.
I'm bringing up this question because I might be titling this video around this or packaging it. Okay. Do you find that a lot of financial crimes are tied to like religious, like churches or like people? It seems like a lot of your fraud stories, people are pulling money from the church or like their church members.
Yeah, I think that the churches tend to be a haven for defrauders, which doesn't mean that church is a scam or Christians are a scam or any religion's a scam. But I think that defrauders tend to turn to that. One, to be able to tell themselves that maybe they're going to be forgiven for their actions, but two, also to harvest victims, knowing that people of faith are often good and trusting people.
Okay, I would say or also it's a good in with them, right? Like, oh, we're both Christian, we both go to the same
right.
church.
It lends itself to an affinity fraud, right? Like you and I both go to the same mega church. There's no way I would rip you off. So why don't you give me your money and I'll double it every 90 days?
Right. We both love Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have that in common.
These guys.
Hey, at this point, it's 2 hours.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah. Well, actually, what's going to play after this is going to be the conversation we had before the podcast, which is interesting for anyone who has enjoyed this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe someone can come to our rescue, make us rich. Do you think there's a market out there for us, if we could find someone to promote it and sell tickets for you and I to do this in 5 cities and do a live version of this?
We should mention this online. On this.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna. You know what's funny is,
I mean,
do I? I mean, if the right person does it, you see what I'm saying? It's like everything, right? Like if you have the right guy that can promote it and do it,
yeah,
absolutely. There are. Did you ever see the movie? There's a podcast called. It's two female comedians, and they do My Favorite Murder.
yeah, right. Okay,
You ever seen them?
I'm not a fan of that type of show, but I have seen that they tour live and they do live podcasts. They're filling theaters. Yeah,
massive.
They're filling theaters,
Right, and so
we're better than them.
Yeah.
On our worst day.
Yeah, and if you come up with kind of a skit and you do the skit over and over again, you're going to get better and better at it, right? And
We got the bit.
You can do this.
Every single night. Can come to the table with 12 new crime stories that I would tell, and then you guess the sentence,
right?
And the audience wait, blah 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 blah. Maybe you do
every night. You're not going to come up with 12 a night. Oh, you mean like if we do it once every 2 weeks or something?
I have 1,000 crime stories in my back pocket that I've done on my social media that when I do your show, I go through. Oh, that was a good story. Oh, this one's good. Well, Matt would like this. This is going to work for his audience well. Yeah. If we did a 12-city tour, I could come up with 144 stories.
We just test it. Test it once in Tampa. Just do one. Just try once.
Here's the problem, Colby, is that neither Matt nor I want to actually do the work to sell tickets.
I was thinking, you put more work into this podcast than I've ever put. On my best day, I've never prepared as much as this.
Well, again, in all fairness, these are stories that I've done on my social media feed, so I'm just kind of recycling stuff that I've already done and repurposing it for you.
The TikToks and the stuff that you put out, that 1 minute or 2 minutes that you do, you put more. Every one of those you've done more reading, more research into every one of those than I've ever done into a podcast.
You're very guest focused. It's important that my audience, their eyes just be on the cash register.
Right. I love Jess when something will happen and something will happen and I'll be like, hey, and she'll like almost swing at me or something, or almost hit me, or I'll cut myself shaving and she'll be like, whoa, she's don't fuck up the moneymaker.
Yes, exactly.
Like, hey. I'm like, hey, the moneymaker.
Exactly.
How much do you think it costs to rent out a theater? Like, I don't know. How many?
And how do you capacity? It? Like, you need a guy that can do that.
Well, I mean,
my theory is we do it and nobody, like, there's 25 people show up and it's supposed to be 300
You probably
people.
need to, like...
Maybe we do it at the back of a bar one night for 100 people.
We could go do the comedy club at the AMC theater.
Yeah.
Comedy club.
Yeah. You run it. I feel like you could book 100 people.
God, he's got a lot.
You probably have metrics. My number one city is New York. What's yours?
Oh.
Wow. I mean, we have the analytics.
I mean, that's my point.
I think it goes by country on YouTube, though.
YouTube is country. Where are you getting that number?
I think TikTok and Instagram will break it down by city. My number two city is Lagos, Nigeria. I think we should not do that.
I would think Nigeria would be a big one for me. I get a lot of Nigeria.
Yeah, I do too.
Matt, love from Nigeria.
Delightful people. I love their fandom.
We love yours.
I think the cost of getting us there might eat up a bit of our profits.
Yeah, we love you on our breaks at the in the phone room. We like to listen to your.
You're terrible. They're the best people. Please don't kill me.
Yeah, I'm trying to see the insights because it just says YouTube just has by country.
Okay. But I bet you could find your Instagram or TikTok and see what that is there. God. But again, to your point, Colby, other than the back room of a bar with 100 folding chairs, I don't want to be in the concert promotion business. I'm happy to be in the content presentation business.
Yeah, I just want to be the talent.
Well, see, here's my thought.
Do you have any idea how much stuff I pawn off onto him?
I get it. No, I get it. I'm trying to. I'm doing the same thing with my.
I can't even look over there sometimes.
But here's the thing: what if we found that those Making a Murder ladies or whatever, or any of these podcasts, like these true crime podcasts that are like touring the nation and packing it in? There's a lot of like kind of female comedy podcasts with like mommy humor that's just packing them in as well, with lots of catchphrases and stuff. I'd love to maybe if we went into their website and figured out who is doing their promotion.
Right.
And okay, you got a successful Making a Murder tour with these two ladies. Who's the promoter behind this? Who are they hired to do it? And then
you could pretty much get like, I'm pretty sure I could call 3 people. You know, you're pretty much three phone calls away from probably the president, with 3 phone calls. Like if I called Johnny Mitchell and say, hey, who does this kind of thing for so-and-so? He's going to be like, I don't know that guy, but I know this person and they know that person. Okay, well, let's get on that. Within 3 phone calls, we could probably find out. We could probably be talking to one of those chicks from Make a Murder.
Oh, yeah.
And she'll be like, oh, Joyce does it. Let me get you in charge.
Let's call it what it is. I can get their home phone number immediately.
You need to
Yeah, what am I saying?
I mean, yeah, if that's the goal, to give the good ladies a cold call, that's a very doable thing.
You know who you need to get on this is Tyler.
Okay, yeah,
I mean,
are
Is this
you
your booking guy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's all up in my stuff.
Yeah,
he's
he's an
an enthusiastic
do it.
young
that'll be
man.
right up his alley. I mean, he's trying to get Matt to stand out on the corner with a sign.
Oh
that
yeah,
says,
he's got insane ideas.
Ask a con man.
But yeah, I think.
Really? Ask a con man sign?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lawyer that does
Yeah,
it.
I've seen him.
Yeah.
Very good.
What's so funny is people give the lawyer shit. Like
Everyone's
people
so
will give-
mean to that guy.
Yeah, they're
He's-
mean to
he's
him.
like the
and I'm
nicest
thinking,
guy in the world, he seems. He's
like,
trying to be helpful.
I'm trying to be helpful, and you're giving me shit. Like, what are they going to say to
Right,
me?
I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. He always
Right.
starts out by saying. So,
Yeah, but I mean, I have no problem with that as long as it's somebody who's competent and professional. And we're not going to get out there and. Plus, I wonder how do you ever get nervous?
no,
Like,
not public speaking. I'm fine
Really,
with that.
I'm after about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm fine with it. Initially, I feel, even though Jess has seen me speak and people are like, man, you were great. You were there. And I'm like, I was really nervous. Were you? Listen, I feel nervous. The first 5 minutes, I feel nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the most nervous I ever was, I spoke in front of probably 500 law enforcement officers. Listen, I think it was probably 30 minutes into it.
Like
I
I've
was
seen in the Blues Brothers where they're performing and the cops are just filing in.
trembling. And yet Jess was there. Jess was like, you were great. I was like, fucking, I don't know why I was so anxious, anxiety ridden. But yeah, I mean, I would have no problem with that. We just need to figure out who to talk to.
Right. Who could put it together
Yeah.
and who could hype it. I mean, you and I both have platforms to hype
you
it.
don't think,
That's easy enough.
You don't think everybody would be most 90% of the people we think would be someone who already follows you or knows you, or you think you're...
I don't know. I mean, well, I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to be either people who are like super into Matt or follow me.
Yeah, you don't think marketing on your own socials? Like, hey, I have this event coming
I
up
think so
in
too.
August.
Well,
feel
that's
like
the
I
thing.
get
In the
it.
right city, though, right? Come to Topeka, it's going to be sort of embarrassing.
Yeah.
And but if you guys can figure out, I mean, and the problem in New York is that there's a lot of competition on any given night for people
Right.
to do stuff, but. It's it's a big.
I also feel like the people that are you think, oh, you've got a lot of views. Really? Like this is nationwide. You know what I'm saying?
Worldwide, really.
Exactly. Like, so what do I have in,
Tampa.
like you said,
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida? We're getting 15 people that show up.
The upside of doing Florida is that you and I wouldn't have as much overhead.
Yeah. It's
You know what I
easier
mean?
to test.
Yeah,
Do
and I
it.
can drive down to Tampa. If we found it one night in Tampa in some comedy club on a night where there's nothing else going on there,
Right.
The house maybe takes the bar.
Yeah.
It doesn't charge us for the venue.
I feel.
Seriously.
I feel like what they would do is we'd be the first show. It wouldn't be just us. It'd be what the better bet is. We go up first in front of the guy that brought in all the people, or you think it's bring in our people that know us.
I think that there is a market out there for live podcasts.
For you and I, life.
Yeah,
art,
this
for
is to be the Matt Cox Show live featuring Tom Simon.
I feel like this is something your wife could look into.
She's very big on ideas.
It's the execution.
She's a very competent lady, but she's never promoted a concert or something like that.
No, I don't mean promotion. I mean tracking down the promoter. That's the big thing, is tracking down the person that can say, they could look at our stuff and then say, this will never be anything. Or look at it and go, wow, this could be huge.
All right, let's do the math. We sell 1,000 tickets at average of $30 a ticket.
Yeah.
What's that? Help me do the math.
$30,000.
$30,000,
$30,000, right?
right?
So, yeah, but you have to think, we're not making 30. Then
Right,
how
right.
much did this? How much did the promotion? How much did the promoter get?
Figure you and I walk away with 10 each, and there's 10 for the overhead.
But we're not walking away with 10 each.
You don't think so?
No.
You think
1,000 people in a room. I mean,
you think we could sell 1,000 tickets?
Well, I think it'd be
Or
more
like
than
500.
$30.
Yeah.
It'd be more than $30. They're not going to. I don't think anything's $30. It's going to be like $49.99 or something.
Who the hell's going to pay $50 to see you?
Trust me. But because I think you got to think the promoter takes half.
Right?
He
You think,
wants
so? You
half.
think so?
Well, you
and
guys
what does
are
it
the
cost?
promoters, though. Your socials are the
We're
promoters.
Our socials aren't good, bro. Are you kidding me? I tried to do a course on what do you call it? On credit repair, building credit and repairing credit. I tried to do that. I think we sold fucking like 10 of them or 15.
Yeah.
Like that was it. We pushed it. We dropped it in a few different things. Like it just didn't take off. Like, and that's people that, and it was super inexpensive. It was like $2.99 or something.
But that's different, right? Because that's an auxiliary product, right? We will be offering the same product that is time tested, that people like it. That hundreds of thousands of people every time I come on the show watch your show to do our crime story. What's the sentence bit?
Right.
Riffing off of each other. That is a road tested thing that people seem to enjoy.
Right.
Are people going to pay $30 or $50 to come out and see that live?
I mean, I think they'll pay, $50. I definitely think they'll pay. My problem is $50 and you still have to pay a promoter. You still have to pay for the venue. Granted, we can run promotions, but they really need to run the promoter would run promotions on the radio station, and none of that really costs that anything, but it would be, they'd ask you and I to do some radio stuff.
I think, we'll get on the venue's website. They get you halfway there. Every
Like,
venue's gonna have a mailing list.
You run social media targeted ads in Tampa.
That's a good point.
It's like, hey, we're coming to your city, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
So you want someone to do all that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But they would know how to do all that. But the problem is they know how to do all that.
And they're going to charge you half.
But they say we want half after we pay for the venue, this and that. So you and I end up doing it, and we make $5,000. Maybe we make $10,000 a piece, which I'm okay with, $5 or $10,000 on a test, because to me, we go in, it's $5,000. Now
Right.
Then the guy says, "Whoa,
Proof of concept. Yeah.
now we can." Guess what? It was booked. You guys did great, and we think that we can now rent out this one for $5,000. Like, now I'm ready to do one for $5,000 in Orlando.
Well, that's my next question. Do you think Orlando or Tampa is a better market for something like this?
Orlando, I would think.
Orlando?
I
I was
think
gonna
it's
say
just
Orlando,
bigger.
we have people flying in.
Yeah, I thought they'd
flights
be-
are cheap to Orlando.
Oh, okay. I was thinking.
I'm also
maybe
thinking
comparable, but
I like Tuesday night at a comedy club when there's nothing happening there. We may get the venue for free. Sell the booze.
oh yeah. Yeah, and the comedy clubs actually try and promote it too.
Yeah.
because they want you to come
They
in
have
and
an
buy
email
their
list.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I can't. What are we doing?
I know.
we can do this on the phone.
Let's do a show. I'm
Well,
sorry.
this will be at the end of the episode, anyways.
But I mean, it's something to think
people
about.
can leave their comments. Okay, there's a
The other thing,
Tampa, Florida offers a variety of various sizes. Let's see, 2,600, 1,000, 300, 250. So you could sell out a 250 guest auditorium at what?
50
For,
bucks a piece.
for a test.
What's 50 times 250?
It's a good question. Probably should
What's
know
the
that.
gross?
250 times 50.
75.
12,500.
Oh, 12.5, sorry.
Yeah, right. Then we charge extra for the meet and greet afterwards.
Yeah. So you sign
We sell
autographs.
T-shirts. They got the
Yeah.
T-shirt. That's always horrible.
T-shirt cannon.
We had that comedian.
Carl Remy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl. And I text him. He'll text me right back. Like, he's obviously got promoters and knows people. I mean, granted, he was working it.
Yeah,
I understand, but he knows.
He's very funny guy. I like
Yeah.
him, but we saw that show and it wasn't really wasn't standing room only exactly.
No.
Yeah.
It was in a movie theater.
Yeah, they closed the theater down.
I wonder
One of
how
the
many
theaters.
seats are in a movie theater.
It's probably 100, but
Oh
it
wait,
wasn't.
100's 10 by 10. It's way more than that. It's more like
was-
1,000.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe 500, 700 or something. I mean,
Yeah.
10 people by 10 people.
But
is
it was-
nothing. This was a big theater.
Yeah, but it wasn't packed.
No.
Was that one packed? No.
No, not at all.
I've
Not
been
at
to
all.
one since then, by the way. We went to go see, oh gosh, what's his name? Is it not John Candy? What's the other guy that died? He was like John Candy. He was more
Chris
recent.
Farley?
Chris Farley's brother. We
Oh,
went
he's
to go
doing stand up now?
Yeah.
Any
So,
good?
I thought it was funny. I actually, what's bothered me about it was as he was talking, I was thinking of better things that he could have followed up on, or things he could have done better, done another joke, or when I'm sitting there improving on your act, it's like, it's not good. Like but it was funny. It was it was worth
Same venue? In the movie theater? Or yeah.
but it was packed. That was packed.
Farley last name, man.
Yeah, just the last name packed the whole thing.
Right.
And yeah, it was good. It was good.
I guess even if it didn't work out perfectly, as long as there's no downside economic risk to us,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So that would be what I would want. We'll promote the shit out of it in our social media. We'll show up. If no one else shows up, our egos will be hurt for 12 hours, and we'll
Get
go
an
on with our
episode.
lives. And then we'll go talk to 100,000 people on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with that. I just think I'd like to know somebody who has more experience than you and I.
Well, without question.
Yeah.
This is nothing that I'm
can
happy
say-
to take on myself.
Yeah, that can say this is a thing, or
right.
you guys don't have a prayer.
Something to chew on.
Right.
All right, so we doing this? We doing a
We're
show?
going to bring in more than Remy brought in.
Well, we have bigger followings than him.
He's not a very nice guy.
I liked him.
I liked
that was a
him.
funny show.
Yeah.
He should
Yeah.
be he should be doing more on his social media to promote himself.
Yeah, we had him come on here.
yeah.
So this will be at the end of the episode. So, Matt, if you want to go ahead and sign off and just ask the people to let us know their thoughts on this whole concept.
Yeah. Let us know. You're in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts on whether or not Tom Simons and I should do a
Live show.
At maybe a comedy club, or try and get a larger venue, or
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. I don't know. That sounds really big.
The Hollywood Bowl.
Something. Raymond James Stadium. Is there
Superdome.
still a Raymond James Stadium? Is it still Raymond James?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let us know what you think. And we're going to leave all of Tom's links in the description box. Please go to all of his social medias and follow and subscribe. Also, thank you very much for watching this show. Appreciate it. See ya.
See ya.
Nice. You could even test. Yeah. He could even test a lot. Like, never mind. Let's just.
Yeah, chew on it.
Yeah.
Chew on it. All right, we doing a show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Showtime?
Yes.
Hello, Matt Cox.